Okay, recording. Hi there, this is Kristen Foltz with healinghomecoaching.com, and we are here today to talk to you about essential oils. I am your host for the mini training, and along with myself, I have Mona Riggs, doTERRA wellness advocate, mom of 3 teenagers, and a special needs 6-year-old. We are talking about essential oils and how it can support your soul, your mind, your body, and your children. Now, I have to go ahead and tell you that according to the FDA, we are not here to treat, prevent, or cure diseases or illnesses according to the regulations. We are simply here to talk about support concerning essential oils. Did I miss anything with the disclaimer, Mona?
You got it.
Okay, so moving right along, I'm going to share my slides with you. And you will see me and Mona on the right side. We're going to begin. So today, like I mentioned, learn how to use essential oils supporting your mood, your energy, and yourself. I am your expert for the training, Kristen Foltz, parent coach. I'm a mom to 1, and I help parents transition their chaotic home into a peaceful oasis by building a deeper relationship with their kids. And Mona, like I mentioned, she's a doTERRA wellness advocate, mom to 4 kids, a homeschool mom on top of that. And her passion is teaching and educating other families about essential oils and how to help support them as the whole person and as a family unit. During this training, we are going to cover how to support yourself and your family in the morning. So with an uplifting blend, different routines throughout the morning, how you can use these to instill peace, balance, calmness when you're getting ready for school, getting ready for work. We're going to talk about how to support your kids' focus before and after school. And then we're going to talk about how to create an atmosphere of Zen for you and for your kids. From there, we're going to talk about specific blends of comforting and reassurance, which can help with calming fears, grounding, promoting a sense of well-being and calmness. And overall, it just helps support the emotional balance of how the day kind of comes in, creates some trauma or drama, and it just grounds you on a more emotional balance level. We're going to talk about how to support a peaceful nighttime routine. I'm really excited to hear what Mona has to say about that. I'm in the trenches of sleep training and getting my 1-year-old to sleep in her own bed. It's been super stressful, so I'm looking forward to what Mona has to say about a peaceful, Zen-like nighttime routine. And then we're going to follow up with a couple of random supports that we can use throughout the day and the night for sleeping support, also some hygiene, and some really good supports for a variety of other blends that we'll talk about. But for the highlights throughout the day, morning time, at school, homework time, and then bedtime. What are essential oils? They come from different parts of the plant, tree, and flowers. My understanding, Mona, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you can have one oil from one part of a plant and then get other benefits from the same oil or different oil another part of the plant. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. It's also used to support many different emotional and physical situations. We're going to talk about the iTovi scanner and different emotional, physical, or environmental needs that the oils can support you in. And then you can also use oils to smell, so inhaling, for feeling, and for taste. So Mona's going to tell us more about that. My preference of getting the benefit and the support of oils is aromatically through a diffuser, and also physically putting them on my body and those of my family members, typically with a carrier oil. Okay, this training is for you if you want to learn how to support your mood, energy, and soul. You want to learn how to support your family's needs. Sometimes our kids, especially, they can be very complicated. I have a very complicated 1-year-old, and so she's constantly throwing me a curveball here and there, and I use my oils constantly to help ground her, balance her, connect her, and I, for one, life-changing experience through oils. Even years prior to having a family, but especially I have leaned heavily on Mona's expertise and also oils themselves in the last, especially year and a half. This training's for you if you've never heard or considered using essential oils to support yourself and that of your family. And we're here to support you in your oil journey if you are familiar with essential oils. This training is not for you if you're not open to tips and tricks on how to help your family be more balanced and centered and just completely change the atmosphere in your family of chaos to calm in a very quick matter of time for support through essential oils. If you're cynical and you want the whole world to know it, unfortunately, this training isn't for you, because we are going to talk about the benefits of essential oils. We're going to be happy about essential oils. And if you're just not into it, then unfortunately, you're going to have to hit the road. So send me an email if you think this is for something completely different other than essential oils, and I'll be happy to share this training with you and hopefully impart some wisdom as to why you really need to get on the essential oil bandwagon, okay? All right, I am Kristen Foltz of Healing Home Coaching. I've worked for many years in child welfare, specifically in the adoption and foster care environment for many years. I did a lot of training and support of families wanting to adopt from the foster care system, a lot of work with attachment and sensory processing needs with those families. And after chasing juvenile delinquents around in Lakeland for many years, we moved up to the Ocala area. And I then at that point, about 12 years ago, found my niche, and that is working with kids from hard places, trauma, attachment needs, mental health needs. And from that process of being a social worker, having my own family, and going into more of a home-based small business of parent coaching, that way I can raise my daughter along with being able to bring in an income for my family. I realized that it is a journey and a path. And so parent coaching was just a normal progression of my calling. So going from social work and helping families with attachment needs to now doing more in-home and face-to-face through Skype and online support with my families, I have a much broader influence in bringing peace into homes that are chaotic. And I want to help parents bring that transitional feeling of peace and joy and help lessen the trauma and chaos that happens so often with children that have, special needs, but also need that support and connection. I also am an advocate of self-care and giving permission to take a breather. And that's part of my platform in my parent coaching, is giving my parents permission to take a breather and go out to dinner and not stress if the house is going to end up in smoke because grandma and grandpa let the kids play with matches. So that self-care is just part of the platform that I help parents with, along with bringing peace instead of chaos into the home. This is where a picture of my beautiful daughter and husband is supposed to be. She's angelic, blonde hair, blue eyes. She looks just like me. My husband, he contributed her attitude and need for constant hugs and kisses. And so she looks like me. She's a good mix of my husband and I. And the next training, I will definitely have a picture of how cute and adorable she is. Miss Mona, take it away.
All right. Well, I'm Mona. I do have 4 children, like Kristen already said for you guys. I will go with my oldest in this picture is Grace, and then next to her is my only boy, which is Zebediah. Myself, my husband of almost 20 years. We still like each other most days. And then my Lucy, and then my AB. And my AB has taught me so much in her short 6 years. She has taught me to be compassionate and caring to other special needs families, because until you are a mom of a special needs kiddo, you truly do not understand what that means. Mm-hmm. And so I am so thankful that this is my family.
So how can we use oils to support ourselves and our family? So when we go through the day, there's different segments where we can really support our kids on a mindful awareness that my kid is going to need this support. what can I do to be proactive? So waking up, Mona, how would you start your day off with essential oils?
Well, whether it's yourself or your kids that you're trying to wake up in the morning, some people are just not morning people. I am one of those people. I like to start my morning with my diffuser going. If at all possible, I like to get my diffuser going about 20 minutes before my kids wake up. Just that way, the aromatic compounds or the essential oil is into the air. And so people and all of the people waking up are a lot happier. So you want to put like an uplifting blend, like a citrus blend and those kind of things to get everybody up and happy. Same thing when they're getting ready for school. That's a great time to continue to run the diffuser. I also recommend that at that point you apply oils to the bottom of their feet to keep them grounded throughout the day using our grounding blend. And I'll talk about that some more as we get further in. Another great thing before you take your kids to school, whether they get on the bus or whether you carpool with them, I highly recommend that you use some kind of sanitizing spray. We have our own.
Okay.
I think Kristen has a slide, and so you guys can see a better picture of it.
Yeah, this is what it looks like.
So this is our On Guard spray, and I literally keep a bottle of this like in everybody's vehicle.
I do too.
And my purse and my backpacks and everything, because what I'll do is I'll spray my kids' hands, have them rub it together, and cup it in hell. And the reason I do that is because most germs enter through the nose. And so I want to protect my kids and set them up and be a proactive lifestyle before they even get out the door to go to school. And then the same thing when I pick up my youngest child, because I do homeschool my 3 oldest, but they're still involved in a lot of activities. And so I like to spray their hands before they come home as well, so they don't bring extra germs home with them from school. And then for homework time, I will share with you guys some diffuser blends that are great for that to help keep them focused and ready to learn.
Okay.
Chore time, again, I think that'd be a great time to run your diffuser, a great time to use the focus blend. Dinner time is when I would start putting in the more calming oils, like the balance, just something to kind of slow down the atmosphere of your home, kind of take control with the diffuser. The diffuser is a great way to truly take control of the emotional state of your home. It's, you could, if your child, some children have anxiety when it comes to bath time, that's a great time. If you're going to apply oils for emotional benefits, you want to use the wrist and directly behind the ears. Those are the emotional points. And you could do that about 20 or 30 minutes before bath time, just to help them calm down and be ready for that next transition. Our personal bed night routine, and it consists of emotional oils on the wrist again and a diffuser going. And the reason I like that is I like to have a diffuser in the bedroom that runs for at least 4 hours. And so you want to make sure that way your child has an opportunity to fall asleep and stay asleep, and not just to get asleep. Because if they get asleep but they don't get into that good sleep, then they haven't even really gotten a good night's sleep. So.
Right. And I can testify that if my little one, her new thing or her latest thing is I'll put her to bed around 8:30. She sleeps for 45 minutes and then she's up hysterical for an hour, 2 hours. And so using that diffuser along with, especially the console for her, the scanning, she hits Serenity and Console consistently towards nighttime. I think the nighttime routine really causes her stress. She likes her crib when she's not sleeping, but when she's sleeping, she doesn't like it for whatever reason. So
she doesn't want to miss anything.
Exactly. She's constantly 100 miles an hour, and she's very people oriented, so she thinks she's going to miss out. And with that separation anxiety on high alert on all fronts right now, bedtime and being separated from myself or my husband is causing her a lot of anxiety. So definitely need to make sure I stay on board with that diffuser and the protocols for what she needs on a nightly basis. Tell us about this next slide.
Okay, so this slide right here, we actually made for the caregiver. Kristen, briefly, you touched on at the beginning the importance of self-care, and I am a firm believer in you have to take care of the mom first, or the caregiver. If that's dad, that's dad. If you're an aunt, a grandma, it doesn't matter. If you're in the caregiver role of a child, any children, even yourself on some days, all of these are recipes that I recommend for you to take note of and for you to use them and for you to love on yourself, because being a caregiver of a special needs child is not easy, but you were chosen for this job. And so take care of yourself so you can be a better caregiver. You will notice lavender in several of these recipes. I will discuss later why I would not personally use lavender on a child that's a special needs kiddo. Okay,
that's good to know. All right. Do you want to add anything about in any particular, which one out of these diffuser blends is your go-to? Is there one out of these that you like better than the other?
I personally like the one with cedar wood in it, just because cedar wood actually allows your body to make its own natural melatonin versus a fake melatonin. Okay. So it helps your body to make its own and make more of it. And then juniper berry, which is also in it, you can make that a diffuser blend or put it on the bottom of your feet. Those are totally versatile. Juniper berry helps deal with night terrors.
Oh, good to know.
Or bad dreams or those kind of things. So.
Okay. Now with the cedar wood, I do have families that are on a either doctor prescribed melatonin protocol, or they're like, I need sleep. And I haven't gone that route with Emma, and I don't want to, but I have used the cedar wood only because she's scanned for it before. But now that I know that melatonin is naturally produced, I knew it was produced, but cedar wood helps enhance that, basically, what you're saying?
Exactly. And what you want to do is you want to be really careful when you use melatonin. There's lots of research out there. I'm not going to get into the science of it.
Right.
Spend a few minutes really reading about it. But when you start to use a synthetic melatonin, it makes your body stop making its own melatonin. It is very dangerous. It is a small, temporary fix. 1 or 2 night fix. This cannot be a long-term solution whatsoever, because you will actually mess up the endocrine system of your body.
Right. And I think that's important to note, that here is something that we can support our bodies in, that it makes naturally, instead of going the synthetic route. So I like the idea of doing the cedar wood and the juniper berry together. Now the night terrors, for me personally, I'm interested in that, because it was mentioned that potentially one of the reasons why Emma is so hysterical when she gets up in the night is possibly, even though she's young, that she's potentially having these night terrors, which there's nights when she wakes up and she's just awake. And then there's other nights you would think that she's clawing up a wall. I mean, she will literally jump into my arms before I even get to the crib. She's very, you can tell there's an element of terror there and very upset.
And some of that may be that she wakes up and she doesn't have complete control of her surroundings.
Right.
And so, that dream has turned into lack of control of, maybe she has a dream that she's falling or something like that. And then she wakes up and she still doesn't have any control.
Right. So I'm going to definitely try that juniper berry on the bottoms of her feet and see how it goes. I'll let you know.
Sweet. Okay, cheer. This is a great one to get your day started with. I like cheer for its uplifting mood. It actually promotes feelings of optimism. Now that sounds like a great way to get any day started.
Oh yeah.
Especially Mondays.
Conquer it.
I love the doTERRA Touch series. Basically what that is it's a roller bottle with, can you see the stainless steel roller?
Yeah, I can. Right.
Okay, perfect. That's the doTERRA Touch series. Basically what that means is, in this bottle and all of the Touch line, they have the essential oils, and then they have diluted it for you with fractionated coconut oil. So it's perfect from newborn all the way up to elderly. You don't have to worry about any dilution whatsoever. The entire Touch series is ready to go, and I love that.
Me too.
Remember, because I'm like a bomb on the go, and I don't want to have to sit here and think about it. I like to just apply it, get results, and move on. And for me, this is definitely one that I like to keep in our purse, especially when we're just kind of in the molly grubs. Maybe we didn't have a great day at school.
Okay.
Maybe we didn't want to get moving, or, whatever. This is a great one to use for that.
Okay. So this is definitely a pick-me-up, happy mood kind of support oil, along with starting the day out.
Right. And just like it says on the slide, is it counteracts feelings of feeling down, feeling blue, or feeling low. So if those are feelings that you are having or your child is exhibiting, this would be where I would start for those.
Roll them up. Yep.
Roll them up for sure.
Move them up. I tell my husband, so I'm sure you may not have had the greatest day. Do you want to get scanned or go ahead and let me just lube you up? And he's like, scan me or lube you up. So
and remember your wrist and behind your ears for the best emotional support. You could also do like a diffuser necklace or a diffuser bracelet for yourself or your child.
Okay.
So this is our focus blend. I picked 2 of my favorite focus diffuser blends for you guys. The time that I would use these is either getting up and going in the morning. Maybe your child is having trouble finishing those chores because they're getting distracted. These would be a great one to be running to keep them focused. So maybe that, 30-minute chore doesn't turn into a 3-hour chore that doesn't even get done.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I'm not going to say that hasn't happened at my house a couple of times.
I even sometimes just need to I use the Intune blend quite a bit just when I'm trying to create something or knock something out and my ADD kicks in and I'm like, oh, squirrel. And then I'm like, no, Kristen, you got to focus. You got this amount of time. So
as we say in my house, focus.
just keep swimming. I tell myself I don't want to drown in all of this paperwork. So the rosemary and lemon one, and even the orange and peppermint one, I've done the rosemary and lemon, and that has helped tremendously. And I haven't tried the wild and orange peppermint, but I love both of those. So I bet that's a really nice empowering blend. So I'll have to check that out.
I've used the wild orange and peppermint blend actually as a 3-hour energy when I was driving and needed to stay awake. I didn't have a diffuser in my car, so I just put them in my hands and then just cupped and held them to get that quick focus, stay awake so we don't wreck Mama.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've used it a couple times that way.
Good. All right.
This is our Zen blend. I will say that I have, this is actually one of my best friends, actually straight out of her back door in Japan. I'm
my goodness.
For that daily. Yes. So these are our Zen diffuser blends. I would recommend these for any time that your home is not as calm as you need it or want it to be. You really can control the direction of your home by running a diffuser.
Absolutely.
You need a couple of diffusers. Maybe you need one in the kitchen to help you stay more focused. Mm-hmm. Maybe you need one in the living room, maybe one in the bedroom. I think diffusers are an underrated tool that we have in our arsenal that we need to start using more of.
I can definitely say that if, especially for my husband, when he comes home from work, I'll get a phone call and you can just tell how stressful that day has been. Right. So there's been a couple of times where I'm like, okay, love you. And then I'm like, where's my diffuser?
Right.
Literally he walks in the door and you can just see the stress fall off of him within 10 minutes. I'll just have a really nice balancing, grounding protocol in the diffuser, and you can just see it wash over his face. And so I'm constantly taking the diffuser with us, or I have a little one where
we don't travel. We don't travel without our diffuser at all.
I have one you can plug in a cigarette lighter too, and so that's been very helpful for keeping the zen and the angst at a manageable level.
Absolutely.
So console, I actually on this slide, when we were going over it yesterday, I realized I put in the wrong slide. So console is actually CONSOLE.
That's right.
Part of our touch line. So there's
all right
on my part. So
it just shows that I'm human. When I made the slide, I was in a hurry.
Well, I wasn't going to throw you underneath the bus. But.
Oh, I'll take all of it. I am human, and I may be your oil expert here, but I'm still a mom. And I'm still busy, and I'm still, I'm still willing to say I'm definitely learning. And so this blend right here is hope in a bottle.
I would agree. Absolutely.
This to me reminds me, and I tell people this all the time, and until you try it, you won't believe it, but it literally to me is like a fuzzy blanket and Netflix without any interruptions. Mm-hmm. It is
that sounds so nice.
I mean, you just have pure hope when you use this oil. I would recommend this on moments that you're feeling alone, moments that you are feeling like maybe you weren't cut out for this job. this is a go-to in those moments for sure, hands down. This is the oil. Let's see. I use this blend daily to remind me that I was picked. I think I already said that, but I have to remind myself a lot because my youngest definitely gives me a run for my money most days, but I was picked. And so this oil helps me remember that I was picked. I also have used this oil 2 years ago today. I lost my dad, and so I've used this oil a lot when those memories come back up. So it's not just for the kiddos. A lot of times it's for us moms.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't realize that today's the day. But you know what? I love Console, and I know that you have used it. You're probably using it now because and this is the oil that I used last night or yesterday morning when I put the baby down for her morning nap. We started the whole sleep training as peaceful as possible protocol, and that's a whole nother spiel. But whenever I would go in and help her, settle back down, I would lube her up with this, and she scans for it frequently, but also I can see a marked difference in her ability to self-soothe, regulate.
Absolutely.
And, because once the oil is on your skin, it's within your body within, like you said, 2 minutes within your bloodstream and then 20 minutes throughout your body, is it?
Something like that. I don't have the exact figures, but I mean, it's relatively quick that it's all the way through. And obviously the smaller the person, so if you're dealing with a baby or it's a whole lot quicker. And so, those are benefits that it hits every nerve all the way through. And it definitely is named perfectly when it's called the Comforting blend, for sure. Hands down, they named it right.
I would say without this blend, last night and early this morning would have been a whole lot more traumatic for both of us.
Yes, I can agree. I've used it a lot. This is our Peace Touch. This is actually my youngest daughter, which I think everything will be backwards. But I don't know. This is my youngest daughter's favorite. I think we have about 4 opened at any given moment because I order them thinking we're out, and we're not out. She just keeps opening ones.
I know how that is.
This blend is great for this is what we use before she goes to school. She does love her school this year, but there's still those moments of uncertainty, like today with the weather being not so certain and not sure what school would do for that. I prepped her as best I could, but I also lubed her up and sent her with her Peace Touch to do that. My saying for this oil is keep calm and just carry it. I mean, there's just a lot of times in our life that we need peace, whether it's, before school or after school. Maybe that day wasn't so great. And they just need a little bit of contentment or peace brought back into the moment. This is a great oil for that.
This is my go-to when I was working through some personal emotional needs about 2 years ago. I was turned on to this, and actually one of our mutual friends put it together for me as a recipe before it was an actual doTERRA blend. And so it was basically the same ingredients, and I would literally, there was moments where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. And then and by the time I got the 4th sweep of it, I was like, okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do this. And I just literally had to talk myself into that moment of awareness and balance. And I really relied heavily on this and prayer. Between prayer and my Peace oil, I made it through some really heavy duty stuff personally. And it was a life-changing, transformational time for me when oils became not just something that I had done in the past, but it really turned into a lifestyle. It is a mentality and a lifestyle for us now, and especially with the baby. I can say she's definitely an oil baby. We were at the pediatrician not too long ago, and she wasn't feeling well, and the pediatrician said, I can give you a prescription, but I know you're not going to fill it, and what are you going to use to help support her? And I was like, well, I'll probably do this, this, and this. And the pediatrician was like, sounds good to me. Let me know how she is in 2 days. And I was like, I'll give you a call. And so I'm really blessed to have a pediatrician who's open to that. So just the fact that I was supporting myself, I knew how to support my child, and literally her little bout of I don't feel good, because we were about ready to leave town. I was already in the area where the pediatrician was, and I swung by and I said, hey, I need you to look at her. And literally, like, the illness that others around us were having, she had like 20%. It was like a drop in the bucket compared to what everyone else was having for the full-blown journey of this illness. So even if, like, just for an illness consideration or emotional, like, think about when you're oiling your kid up and let's say they have a meltdown or they have a tantrum that lasts 10, 15 minutes, but it's not the typical, say, 2 hours prior to essential oils. Like, you still have the drama and the trauma, but it's not nearly as, significantly life-altering as it could be. And the same thing with, emotional support and illnesses and just that preventative concept and mindfulness of, okay, I'm not feeling the greatest. What can I do to support myself?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the power that comes from these little bottles amazes me on a daily basis. I'm still, a lot of times, I'm shocked. I'm like, oh, like, I know it's going to work. Like, I don't doubt it's going to work. But still, sometimes I'm like, oh, ooh, yes. It's just those things. And I do want to say, I do think there needs to be a balance between medicine.
Right.
And the oils. I still have a great relationship with my pediatrician. I still take my kids to the pediatrician. And like you said, she usually gives me a script and she says, I don't expect you to fill this, but you have it if you need to.
Exactly.
And we have a good relationship. And, there have been things that I have to fill for my kids. But I will say that my kids get so much less medication that when I have to give them the synthetic medicine from the doctor, it works in half the amount of time and it's a lot more effective.
Absolutely.
It takes one dose versus 7 or 8 doses. There's not enough buildup.
Right. And I agree with that wholeheartedly as well, Mona. Like, there has to be a happy balance between the two. Absolutely. And just being able to figure out what's preventative, what's I can't say treatment, but what is support versus what needs to really be a medical intervention, etc. So tell me about Lay Me Down to Sleep. I need to try these with the baby.
These Lay Me Down to Sleep blends, let me see. Let me just be honest. For many years, from the time Evelyn was born, that's my youngest, sleep was not her best friend, which made me really sad because sleep was, and will always be my best friend. Give me a day and tell me I can do anything I want, and I'm going to be like, see ya, I'm going to bed. So that was hard because I wanted to sleep. I will say that I am so thankful that I now get a full night's sleep with running the diffuser and applying oils to the bottom of her feet in a very strict routine.
Right.
But I will say that a lot of people, when they first start with essential oils, people will recommend lavender for sleep. And that is not always the best for a child on the spectrum or even an adult.
Okay.
And the reason why is it just has the opposite effect. Just think about, I know, like, for me, if I take Benadryl, it gives me the opposite effect. And so it's not uncommon to think or believe that a child with their brain wired a little differently would react differently to what would be calming for others would be a energy booster for them. So I just caution you, if you are going to be trying essential oils for the very first time, that you maybe not try lavender right before bed and then call me crying, because I'm going to ask you, did you try lavender right before bed?
and that is a good point, because so many times everyone's like, the 3 kind of go-to try this is tea tree oil, peppermint, and lavender. And everyone equates lavender with, oh, I'm going to be able to sleep. And, for me, there is a degree of calming, but for Emma, when she was littler, I would use it in her diffuser and it was like great. And then literally when November 6th came and went, like, that was the day she stopped sleeping. And I continued with the lavender, and like, you could like see her like, and she was like, Wing! And I was like, what the hell just happened?
Well, I will say every oil, like, we touched on a lot of emotional of this webinar, but I will say every oil has an emotional and a physical contribution to it. Every oil. lavender is calming to a lot of people, but it's also on an emotional level the oil of communication. So it's very possible that she was trying to communicate something with you and couldn't express herself. Obviously, she doesn't have a bunch of words, and she didn't have a bunch of sign language, and so she may have been kind of trapped trying to communicate what she was trying to say. And that's very, that's not uncommon to anticipate that to happen.
Right. And that's a good point. I think for me, just trying to, even though I have just enough information to like be somewhat confident in what I'm doing with my family and myself now, but there's so much, like, so many things that I don't know. Like, I know lavender, but also the fact that it's a communication oil. Like, I didn't necessarily know that prior to really getting involved in, kind of how you do business and all of that stuff, as far as like, this oil does this, this, and this, and did you know about this and this? And I'm like, oh, no, I didn't. That's so cool,
Right.
And so that is something that I wish I knew. It's for this, but it's also for this, this, and this. And
it just comes with time. And that's where you have to have a mentor that's willing to do continuing education. And that is one thing that we do offer as a team, is continuing education with your oil journey, so you never feel alone. I will say that if you're going to run diffusers at night, I recommend that you try to start them about 20 minutes before bed. And the reason why is because then you're going to allow the mist of the diffuser to actually lay on the bed sheets and the pillow before your little one gets in their bed. And so therefore you're going to get those, they're going to get to feel the oils, and they're going to get to smell the oils. And so it's kind of like a 2-for-1 whammy. And so if you can, start the diffuser before they even get in the room. If you can't, it is what it is. Life happens.
And that's something good to bring up, because I didn't connect the dots on that until, I don't know, 2 months ago or whatever. I did the diffuser a little bit longer than I typically do. I think the baby puked on herself or something, and so I had to like wash her, and like the diffuser was on, and I came back in the whole room, like obviously diffuser, it's in the air, but I was like, the whole energy of the room was so much more calmer than when like I go in to change her diaper, put her PJs on, and start the bedtime routine. Like, there was just more zen to it. And that's something that I need to be more mindful of, that, okay, I need to go turn on her diffuser, because we're going to move into that bedtime routine. I have a question about the diffuser. I don't think that we've talked about yet. How you have like the carrier oil and the actual essential oil. Can you use those in diffusers? Is that a common thing, or is it just the essential oils that needs to go in the typical diffusers?
You should never use a carrier oil in a diffuser. It will clog up your diffuser.
Okay.
So if you were to like one of the Touch series oils that we talked about, they all come in just straight essential oil. And that's the only way I would run those in a diffuser. I would never run a carrier oil. It will clog up your diffuser. So your diffuser is good for just water and just essential oils.
Okay. Now, the difference between the Touch, I'm going to use, this is the, can you see that? This is the Intune, and this is the roller bottle that we talked about. This one doesn't have metal. It's rubber. But the other options for oils is it comes in a 15 ml bottle. This is our bigger bottle. And then there are oils that come in a smaller one. This is my On Guard, where it's a 5 ml. So those are your 3 ways that the oils come in for the doTERRA line.
The only one that comes in different, actually, now that you're on the slide, is I will show you. Our DDR Prime comes in a 30 ml. I wish they all came in a 30 ml, honestly.
I know, right?
This is the only oil that doTERRA offers that comes in a 30 ml. Okay. Just to kind of give you a little bit of a background.
Well, tell us about DDR.
So we've covered a lot of oils this evening.
Yeah, we have.
And it can be overwhelming, but Kristen asked me if I had to pick 3, what would I pick? And these are the 3 I would pick. Without a doubt, these are the 3 oils I would pick. DDR Prime, there is tons of research, and I just say that because there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. You are welcome to spend a few minutes, type in DDR Prime on Facebook, and you can see tons of research that's been done and how it is beneficial to the body. DDR Prime stands for damaged DNA repair. And basically what that means is if you have a cell in your body of any sort that has been damaged, whether emotional, physical, a life event, even things you don't necessarily even think about, DDR Prime goes in there and repairs those cells and makes them like happy cells again. It's also a great immune booster and for speech support. We've had a lot of testimonies of children that were needing speech help.
Okay.
And DDR Prime is a great one for that. When using DDR Prime, because it is a physical and an emotional benefit oil, down the spine and the bottom of the feet is how I would recommend it. You can put it in a roller bottle if that's easier for application, but totally not necessary. This is an oil that doesn't need to be put with any carrier oil.
Okay.
You can use it straight out of the bottle. So I think this is an oil that we all can use. We all have had past events that affect us.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's not daily, they still affect us. And so this is a great one to go in there and repair the damaged cells. Wild Orange is actually where my story with doTERRA started.
Okay.
I went to a class, knew nothing about essential oils, brought home a little bitty bottle of about 10 drops of Wild Orange, and my oldest child asked for it, and I said, sure, whatever, you can have that. And literally within 3 days of her using that oil, I watched my child come out of her darkness. I watched my child who was not happy become happy. I watched my child that they said would never be able to hold down a job. She now has a full-time job.
That's amazing.
And she'll be graduating in just a couple months.
Yay!
And 18 in just a couple weeks. So I'm super proud of where she's come from.
Absolutely.
Especially from where she started. A great way to sum up this oil is it's sunshine in a bottle. For sure, without a doubt. This is sunshine in a bottle. I have lots of people who use this oil. Even for just its emotional benefits, they love it. And it's definitely a go-to for a lot of people. I enjoy it. The Balance, which is our grounding blend, is a great oil to start your day with.
Okay.
Anytime you're feeling a little nervous, anxious, or just not settled, this is a great oil to apply to the bottom of your feet and also to your wrists. Remember, emotional wrists, physical bottom of your feet, you don't even have to think about where it needs to go. Your body knows where it needs to be.
Okay, say that again because I don't know. I know that. Okay, so emotional is wrist and ears.
Right.
Physical is your feet.
Bottom of your feet. Your body will put it where it needs to be.
Okay, and what about environmental when we talk about the scan? Is there a certain spot?
That's more of an aromatic because you want to deal with the environment that's causing that oil to be coming up. So running a diffuser with that would be where I would recommend that oil.
Okay. I need to remember that because there's times where my go-to spot is behind the ears or the wrist. So if it's physical, then that's something. And now correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't the what is it? For the bottom of the feet, isn't that pretty much our body? Like let's say this is our soul, like this is our spine, and then there's
actually your body is mapped out perfectly in 3 spots.
Oh, okay.
The bottom of your feet, your hands, and actually your ears. Your ears is an inverted embryo. So your earlobe is actually your head. So a great way to remember if you have a child that's having maybe needs some respiratory support, you could put the oil right on the earlobes to give them that respiratory support.
Wow, I did not know that about it being inverted and the earlobe being the head and going around. Wow, I'm learning all kinds of stuff tonight too.
That's pretty amazing when he made us. He gave us a way that you could get to every part of your body in a matter of moments.
Wow. Tell us about this. I love this product. You mentioned it prior, but tell me, actually, I remember when you posted that picture on Facebook. So tell us about the backstory of this picture.
So this picture is actually taken at Sky Zone, which I'm not sure if any of you have been there, but it's similar to a new age McDonald's ball pit.
Oh, okay.
So packed full of germs, packed full of cooties. They actually clean, each pit gets cleaned once a week. They rotate which pit gets cleaned. So I try not to think about those things because I still want my kids to live and have life experiences and make memories. And so I don't want to freak out and I don't want to bring home any extra cooties. And so,
yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, it's simply, I just use it, I spray. They all rub. This is what we look like going into Walmart. And then they cup and inhale. And then I'm even that mom that sprays one time across the buggy because
me too.
I cannot handle, and I'm not a germaphobe by any means, but the germs that are out there right now this time of year are like mega germs, and I do not have the time or the energy to be down with them.
Me either. I agree.
I have one child with an autoimmune deficiency, and so he loves to pick up extra stuff and bring it home with him. I will say this On Guard, I love it because it has a moisturizer in it, so it doesn't ever dry out your skin. It continues to kill germs for a minimum of 4 hours everywhere that it's been applied. So it's funny, like when I'm in the parking lot and somebody wants my buggy, I'm like, sure, I killed all the germs for you.
You have 2 hours, and then we need to be reapplied.
Right. Right. Then you need to find me and reapply for you. Yeah. So I think this is, and it's super easy to carry. I mean, it's not big. It
goes in my diaper bag for the baby, and it's spraying the cart. I also have this really pretty, colorful like cart cover, and I still spray the shopping cart beforehand.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm that one where I've got the diaper bag, the baby, the cover, and then I'm like, you can never be too careful. It's like flu season and going to a buffet and having somebody cough all over the glass. It just ekes me out to no end. Now, I love food and I don't like being sick. So, and the other thing that I do with this is, since Emma is at that stage where she's starting to feed herself and she wants to be involved in the whole process of eating and meals and all of that, I have gone to spraying the table down and putting her in the high chair with the cover and then spraying the table down. That way I'm not fighting with the plate that she wants to chew on or she wants to put it on the floor. I can put food. Now this may sound gross to some people, but I'm confident in this product that it's killing all the germs that are on the surface. And I have peace of mind being the germaphobe that I am with my daughter. Now, mind you, we live on a farm, so she eats her fair share of leaves and dirt and all that immune support stuff that happens in nature. But I will spray this on the table, and I'm confident that whatever food I put on the table, she's not bringing germs into her body when she's doing that on the table. So
I agree 100%. Yes.
Okay. So this is my personal link to doTERRA and our oils. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Oh, it says my internet. I'm not sure what's going on. But basically, if you want more information about doTERRA or you want to check out a certain oil, this is the link that you would go to. It has a couple of different things. It has, now correct me if I'm wrong, Mona, it has the wholesale price, the retail price, because we have a membership system like structure, sort of like Sam's Club, where you pay an annual fee of what is it, $30 for the first year?
It's $35 for the first year, but if you choose a kit, then that $35 is waived and is part of the kit.
Okay.
And at the 1 year mark or your 1 year anniversary, it's $25 to renew, but we give you a free bottle of peppermint, which is worth $21. So it's a couple bucks for your membership. You save 25% off anything that you choose to order for the entire time of your membership. There's no minimum or maximum that you can order with that discount.
Okay. And as affiliate, both of us, now Mona's been in the business a lot longer than I have, so I'm only a wellness advocate. And so I am constantly like handing out samples to support, and it's not necessarily about, you know, the little bit of money that I make from it. It's, oh, you know, your back hurts, or I had a situation with a skin issue for a lady at church. Her husband had a condition that was very painful. You couldn't touch the skin. And so she's like, what do I do? And so I did some research. I talked to Mona about the situation, and I gave her a protocol, a recommendation of what I would do if it was me. And she found some oils and she put it together, and she's like, Kristen, the next time I saw her, she's like, his skin is so much better. And so, you know, I was able to give her a couple of samples along with the oils, some of the oils that she already had, put together a protocol that helped her husband almost instantly with this condition. And so I sent her to the link, and she's now part of our oil family. So it's, you know, there's different on the website itself. There's different ways, like it shows for like recommendations and, you know, kind of like this oil is used for X, but it's also potentially used for this. And then
every oil has over 1,000 compounds and over really hundreds.
Wow.
Hundreds.
Wow.
So choosing your best bet and your best savings is if you choose one of the kits. And if you don't know what those oils are used for, then we would be happy to either get you in a class online, or if you're local, invite you to one of our local classes.
And I will say, Mona, that you are phenomenal with keeping in contact and support and, hey, how's things going? I will say that there were a couple of times where I just wanted to put a postage stamp on my kid and send her back wherever she came from. And there were moments where you like literally talked me off the ledge, and she's like, did you try this, this, and this? And I'm like, yes, and no, I'm going to go do that right now. And there were moments where, you know, Mona was very invested in the journey, and we're kind of, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm not sure if it's a train ready to run me over or like, oh, she sleeps through the night. But Mona is definitely very supportive in the journey, especially, you know, when it comes to kids and, you know, different protocols and recommendations and whatnot. The other thing I want to cover with you guys before we end our time together is iTovi. iTovi.
There you go.
See that?
Yeah. Yep.
Can you explain a little bit, Mona, the technology behind this and what exactly it is? And then I want to show you one of my personal scans. And if you could gently, in case it looks like I'm a mental case, gently go through a scan and what you would recommend would be like the top oil or whatever for the scan. Do you have time to do that?
Sure.
Okay.
So the iTovi is basically a scanning device that scans your body and tells you what your needs are in that moment. Of course, you know, if there's a lion that comes running at you, then your energy is going to change and your needs would change. So it's recommended that you scan about every 4 to 6 weeks to kind of stay on top of those protocols that are needed. So basically what it does is it vibrates when it starts to scan and it vibrates when it stops to scan. It takes anywhere between 30 seconds and a minute. It is super, super easy to do.
Yeah.
It is painless to do. You don't have to ask any questions. You don't have to tell any of your life story. The scan knows it.
And I will tell you, the other day, Stephen was spraying for bugs outside. The baby and I slept in last Saturday, and so I didn't know that he had sprayed. And that afternoon, he was outside, and he's like, my knee really hurts. I don't know why. I haven't done anything to it. I said, well, let me scan you. So I pulled out the scanner, it had buzzed, did the little thing, and the first one that popped up for him was a detox support. And I was like, what do you need a detox from? Not knowing he had sprayed a couple of hours prior. And he's like, I sprayed the outside with bug spray for the hour, a couple of hours ago. And I was like, oh. And the fact that this not knowing something pulled up the first oil that it recommended for that his body needed was a detox oil. And I was like, you can't fool this thing. It's similar to like a lie detector test, correct?
It's very similar to that in the fact that you don't tell it any information. It does a bioimpedance. If you're interested in that, we can definitely send you some more information about having a scan and kind of how that works.
Right. And this link right here is actually to the referral should you want to move forward and potentially getting a scanner for your own family. But for instance, I was scanned March 14th. So last Wednesday, I did a scan and it pulled up for energy and stamina complex, protective blend, grapefruit, food nutrition, and fennel. So I had some GI issues going on, but outside of that, and Mona, I had zero emotional needs that day.
Look at you.
But basically,
well, the energy one, I would definitely say that means that you weren't sleeping well or hadn't slept well the night before, which
she was up every 45 minutes for like 7 hours straight.
Well, maybe that's why.
So this is what it looks like. And you can see where the top oil was the energy and stamina. And then over here,
has your protective blend. That's a soft gel protective blend. That would be maybe you were fighting something.
Yeah. So, but basically it says the oil will benefit you emotionally, physical, or environmentally. And right. So this, when you put it in your hand or you have contact with your skin, it goes in, it reads your bioimpedance energy level. I basically call them, when I explain it to people, I say, it measures your energy, what do I say? Your biometric energy levels in your body and recommends certain oils.
How you respond to the oil that it's standing for at that moment.
Right. And so I kind of describe it that way. I will say that this little scanner has changed my life. Oils changed my life in 1 degree. This scanner has changed the life of my daughter.
Well, that just gives you wisdom of what to use.
Absolutely. Because there's different times where I'm like, okay, well, if I didn't have it, I think she would need this, or she would need this. And then there's times where I'm like, I have no idea what to do to you or how to help you in this moment other than to hold you and just listen to you scream. Well, as a mother, like, my body physically aches when she screams. You know, it's all part of the whole attachment bonding thing that happens with mommies and babies and all that emotional stand-up stuff. And I scanned her and she's like, oh, okay, well, I wasn't expecting that. And literally, I had a substitute for the oil that she scanned for, and within like 10 minutes, completely different child.
Right, absolutely. And it just puts power in your hands.
Absolutely.
It gives you power to use the oils that you already believe in and already have seen results with, but without having to go through a bunch of different ones.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all that information. It's a lot of information. If you have stayed to the end, you will be getting the slideshow presentation emailed to you. I wanted to tell you that on the 3rd Tuesday of the month, I am starting a webinar training. So this is kicking off our webinar trainings for the 3rd Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. Next 3rd Tuesday of the month. I actually don't even know the date of next 3rd Tuesday of the month in April. It's like, let's see.
17th.
The 17th. April 17th at 6 p.m. I am starting the Speak to the Heart of Your Child series. So basically, for the next 5 months, on the 3rd Tuesday of the month, I am doing a different way throughout the day to communicate with your kid on a deeper level. So 5 ways to speak to the heart of your child. Webinar series starts, and we're going to start with daily routines. We're going to do daily routines, happy times, sad times, transitions. There's a variety of different things that we're going to be covering, but tonight's webinar is kind of kicking off that 3rd Tuesday of the month mini training for you, because I want to be able to support you in your journey of parenting and minimizing the chaos and transforming your home into a peaceful oasis. A couple of things that Healing Home Coaching provides is our Healing Hearts Parent Program, coaching packages. I'm also an adoption advocate. My heart and soul is in adoptions and foster care and child welfare. So I have some special packages for advocating for your family, for you specifically, and special education packages as well. We're going to do a Q&A time. I know that I had a couple of readers bring in some questions prior to the training that I want to cover with you, Mona, but do you have any burning questions or anything that you think that someone who says, okay, I've learned a lot of information, there's a lot of things that I'm going to try to have to process through. Is there anything else that can kind of collectively put everything that you've said into a nice little pretty package with a little bow on top?
Just get started.
Just get started. Okay, just get started.
And just know that you're not alone, and that if you have questions throughout the process, like Kristen has said, I'm not here to sell you oils and sell you for you to keep it in your cabinet. I am here to empower you to be a better mom, a better dad, a better caregiver for the child that you've been chosen to take care of. And so there has been a lot of information that's been covered, but start somewhere and start now.
I think that's really important.
You don't have to have it all to get started.
Oh, there you're back. Okay. So far as Q&A, one of my questions was, how long does it last in the body?
In a child, it's 2 hours. In an adult, it's 4.
Okay.
So let's just process things quicker.
Now 2 hours and 4 hours. So I think there was one time where there was a tummy issue in the house for me, and you mentioned prevention like every 15 minutes, but I don't remember exactly what that was about. Tell me about that.
if you are dealing with a situation that you could not be proactive with and you're in the moment of, then it's recommended that you apply the oil or the protocol every 15 to 20 minutes to kind of keep it in the system. So then it's hitting every point and there's not a break. You do that for several hours, usually about 2 hours, and then you could go to every hour after that. And I usually say every hour after that till it's bedtime. I don't believe in waking a sleeping person or child for sure, and I definitely don't wake sick ones. I can tell you that. If they're sleeping,
yeah,
we all need to be sleeping. Told y'all, BFF, sleep. I don't give up sleep. It takes really hard. So that is what's recommended in that moment. And usually by the next morning, you've seen a significant difference. If you need to do it then a couple of times throughout that second day, then you could do that as well. Just kind of keep it in the system.
Okay. I don't remember what I was going to ask you. Let's see what my note says. This mom says, instead of lavender, what do you recommend?
I would recommend either the Restful Blend from doTERRA, which does have lavender in it, but because when it's blended by doTERRA and it's mixed with the other oils, it brings out a different side of it. I have not had the same opposite effects. Also, if you didn't want to use lavender, you could use the cedarwood, which makes the body just make more melatonin, which would just continue to help calm down the situation.
Okay. The other day you mentioned petitgrain.
Yep. That is similar to a lavender in its chemical makeup. It just smells like petitgrain, the dog food.
Oh, okay.
Petitgrain, the dog food.
Okay. I scanned for that several days in a row about 2 weeks ago, and I didn't know that it was similar to lavender.
Right.
What is that typically? And I think it was for emotional and physical, for those two.
Oh, you want to know what it's for?
Sure.
Oh, let me look.
So this brings up another thing. Mona is pulling out her, what would you describe these books? These are your how-to manual oil books?
These are my reference books.
Okay.
So I don't have
your oil Bible?
in my head.
Okay.
Yes. So, like I said, every oil has an emotional and a physical. And so petitgrain is the oil of ancestry. And it deals with negative emotions of disowning ancestry, repeating negative family patterns, loyalty to unhealthy traditions.
Okay. Yes. And I will
So this is the emotional book that I use. Can you see that?
Yes. Emotions and Essential Oils, a reference guide for emotional, what does it say? Emotional healing. Okay.
Now, you can buy this on Amazon or Your Oil Tools as well. I think, Kristen, didn't we say we had a coupon for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a couple of really good resource websites. I should have put it in the slides, but I didn't. Is Aroma Tool. And what was the other one? Your
Oil Tools. And I have a coupon for you guys that when I tell Kristen the physical of petitgrain.
And I will tell you, the reason I think that the couple of days there that I was pulling that one, I was dealing with something with my husband, and I was like, this has to stop. Like, this is a family, not a family curse, but like a family tradition that's not healthy, and we need to break the cycle. So that makes complete sense why I even pulled that. And I was basically like standing up in my power, and I'm like, this has to stop. And it wasn't something majorly traumatic. It was just something that could be done more healthy like and much more connective. And so I was like, we need to like stop this in its tracks. It's a generational thing. We can do life different. Like, this doesn't have to be this way.
Well, then that makes
complete sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was something for both my side ancestrally and his side ancestrally, and that makes complete sense. Wow.
The petitgrain, I don't have it in the physical, but if the emotions match and that's what you scanned it for, then that would be why. And then the physical would be similar to lavender.
Okay. Wow. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so one more question.
Okay.
And this one is basically, she says diffusers aren't created equally. how long should I set my kids to run? I think we kind of covered this, but go ahead and...
I recommend that you have a diffuser that runs at least 4 hours, and that way you have time to run it about 20 minutes before bed.
Okay.
And you have time for them to fall asleep and get into a good sleep before the diffuser runs off. I personally keep an extra bottle of water right by our diffuser every night, and that way if AV wakes up in the middle of the night, I can just restart the diffuser and get her right back into a good sleep pattern without having to fight. Oh, we're awake for 3 hours. Let me go get a bottle of water, because remember, that means I'm losing sleep. And I told you, my best friend is sleep. So I don't like to give up sleep. I'd rather do 5 minutes of proactive before bed than 15 minutes in the middle of the night. It's the same reason that I breastfed my babies. It wasn't
okay.
It was because I was lazy. I didn't want to give up sleep. That's it. That's the truth.
Okay, so at least 4 hours. One of my diffusers runs consistently, and my other diffuser does like an intermittent, like 15 seconds on, 15 seconds off, and it goes longer than the other one.
That's just a preference, really.
Yeah. Now, doTERRA does have diffusers, but they are a little pricey, if I can be honest. So I've gotten mine from Amazon and I think Walmart, and I just found another one. It's like brand new for like $4 at Goodwill. It didn't even smell like it had oils in it ever. So I was super happy about that find the other day.
Absolutely. Most diffusers, I mean, I will say I have bought diffusers in several different avenues, and they all last pretty well, about the same. I will say my doTERRA diffusers have lasted longer.
Absolutely.
I don't know if they've lasted long enough dollar for dollar to invest in just doTERRA diffusers, but I do have several doTERRA diffusers just because they became one of our quick favorites. But I've also bought diffusers straight off of Amazon and those kind of things, because I think it's better to have more diffusers than to have just higher price diffusers.
Right. I would agree with that. Now, you shared with me, because I was talking to you about the lights and the diffusers, you shared with me about AV liking the color red with her diffuser, where with Emma, the lights kind of like stimulate her.
Right.
Real quick, in closing, share with us the situation with AV and the red lights and, things like that.
Well, for us, and a lot of people, red is actually a kind of like a stimulant.
Right.
It usually brings on, it's a mood lifter. A lot of restaurants paint their walls red to kind of keep people moving, so you're not sluggish and sit in your booth longer. For AV, it's the exact opposite. Just like lavender, it's the exact opposite. It helps her relax. It helps her to get into a deeper sleep. And so we run that light, the red. She has a diffuser with stars that shine on the ceiling, and so we run the red lights until she's good and asleep, and then we turn it off.
Okay.
So I think it's just finding out what works for each of them. Me personally, I want no lights on my diffuser. So the sooner I can get it off, the better, because remember, I like sleep and I don't want anything interrupting it.
Yeah, that has been a challenge where, having the light on and being able to take care of Emma, because she is up so often, having some type of light, but barely enough, but enough, so.
Right.
Okay. Well, do you have any more questions or comments? We'll wrap this up. All right.
I don't think so.
Well, thanks
for having me. I really
thank you for your time, Mona. I appreciate it. I always learn something when I'm talking with you. And Healing Home Parent Community, thank you for joining us. I look forward to talking with you further about your kids, your chaos, your peaceful oasis, and certainly your essential oils. We're going to sign off for tonight, and take care.
Bye.